What's going on, Jab Jab Talk Nation? It's your boy Ozil coming to you with a post-reaction video on last night's fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Wowzer. First and foremost, huge congrats to Terence Bud Crawford for going up 2 weight divisions to fight the main man, the king of the 168 division, and Canelo Alvarez, and become the new undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. Wowzer. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Was really excited about the fight. First off, the stadium. I mean, just the performances, the vibe, the energy. Shout out to Riyadh Season, Dana White. I mean, they put on this was a spectacle. I mean, it was an event. It was like almost felt like a concert. I mean, it was huge. So many people packed it out, sold out, and very, very impressive. And that was a big win for boxing. Now, the fight. I'm not going to go round for round. I felt like the first few rounds, you saw the fight. It was a bit of, they were all filling each other out, not much action going on. And then as the fight progressed, you could tell that Canelo just couldn't land any solid, clean punches. He was getting frustrated, and you got to see Crawford really play chess with Canelo and pick his shots and just box and move around. And when he was putting those combinations together, I think when he landed with Canelo, he would get in, get out. So he kept the fight at a distance for the most part. And actually, that was his game plan, is just pretty much box him out. And that was really kind of what I was saying about this fight, going into it. I do feel like if Canelo, the old school Canelo, with throwing combinations and being active, if we would have seen that Canelo, it would have been probably a different fight. Probably a lot more competitive. And definitely I felt like Canelo could beat Crawford with that style. But last night, what we saw was a Canelo that pretty much has been showing up these past few fights, which is, low output. He's stalking, he's not bouncing. There's no bounce. There's not much head movement. You could tell like it's a bit slower to react. It's not like the Canelo of like the Danny Jacob days, or Caleb Plant even. A lot slower, and Crawford is fresh. Even at 38, just and he is like, he haven't had that wear and tear like Canelo has. And you could tell he looked in there, he looked great with the weight, and he was just moving around, and he did what he had to do to win the fight, clearly. So yeah, I mean, it was, Canelo struggling. I think for the first time, I think we saw, we've seen him be beat by Mayweather. And of course, that one kind of like, we look at that and we're like, well, he was younger. The B-ball, he was fresh. He went to 175. I think that one was just due to the fact he just didn't have the skill set to really offset Bivol, and he didn't have the size either, nor the punching power to get Bivol's respect. But with Crawford, it was just straight up like skills on Crawford's end, fresher, and then you have Canelo, who has definitely, now we see that he's declined. Like, he doesn't have the sharp tools that he used to pull out for these big fights. And I think for the first time we saw this type of Canelo really kind of, just get beaten soundly at 168, which is the division that he's owned for a long, long time. So where does this leave Canelo? And here's something really interesting. I was watching the post conference. I'm sure you saw it. Canelo talked about how he says his body isn't reacting anymore. That is telling. That right there is something to note. I know there's been a lot of people saying that Canelo's been slipping, but he actually yesterday openly, verbally said it himself. I just couldn't react. I can't, my body was kind of telling me, my brain is telling me to do something, my body just couldn't react. And that was something that I saw a couple of days ago, where it was talking about Mayweather. Mayweather's like, he was talking about the fight, and Mayweather's like, you're in boxing, and we know this, your body can get old overnight. And I believe last night we saw that in Canelo. I think his body got old overnight. I think he trains hard. He has the discipline. He has a mindset. He's greatness. But he is, you still got to, you gotta be sharp when you have these big fights. You gotta be ready to throw punches and really put it together. He just doesn't have that anymore, unfortunately. So, what's next for Canelo? I think Canelo is. I think we'll take some lighter fights. I wouldn't be surprised if he does a rematch, um, on the last fight in the contract with Riyadh season. But I don't know if that's what he wants to do. I think at this point, I think his mission will be just kind of finish out his contract, fulfill his contract, make as much money as possible, which he is. I think he's going to do like a tour or what. I don't know what he's going to do. And then just, he'll probably be really, really now selective with his fights. He might fight, what's the dude, Hamas, whatever his name is, who beat Berlanga, may fight him. Maybe Christian, what is it, Mabili, the guy who fought Lester Martinez yesterday. I think that would be like a perfect style matchup with Canelo. Undefeated, strong. That's perfectly tailored for Canelo style. A fight like that. But I don't see him fighting any David Benavidez or even a rematch with Terence Crawford at that, or anybody else that could potentially be a big threat, or Bivol. Like, I just don't see this version of Canelo fighting at that level at this point in his career. And it's kind of sad. Like, I have a lot of respect for Canelo. You guys know, like, he's provided a lot of great fights for the boxing community. Nobody can negate, say what you say about Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, by all means, is a big fighter, right? He's a champion, he's legendary, whatever. But nobody can negate the fact that Canelo, even with the losses, he is a superstar. He is his personal brand. It's like a rock star. I mean, he's that stadium, it's Crawford and Canelo for sure, but it's a Canelo brand pull that a lot of these, and that's the reason why he could demand and get so much money, because he has a brand name and he has a lot of association with big brands. So his brand is definitely elevated and the top brand still, more than Crawford. I think Crawford, from a boxing standpoint, I think that he doesn't have that the full it factor to be able to do something like what Canelo did. Again, not to get into a different topic, but Canelo, what I'm saying here is still going to be a household brand until he retires. And I think he's just going to fulfill his agreement and, and be really selective and continue, see if he could take these winnable fights. But Terence Crawford, I mean, what's next for Terence Crawford? I mean, I believe that he's going to stay at 168. I would like to see him fight, maybe a Caleb Plant, maybe he stays up there, maybe Charlo. Jamal Charlo at 168. I mean, I think there's some really, really good fights to be made there. Some really interesting fights. So I like Terence Crawford now at 168. I think he looked great. He moved great. He boxed. I mean, super talented fighter. I mean, I like Crawford. I think he's a really, really talented fighter. And it wasn't his fault that he didn't get a lot of fights whenever it was his heyday. But he's still like a beast. He's obviously one of the best fighters out there. Legendary, future Hall of Famer. So yeah, congratulations to Bud Crawford. Again, I did not expect it. I felt like potentially Canelo could pull it off. But man, as I was getting closer, I felt like, I don't know, like it depends on what Canelo will show up. And that's how I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, I don't know, but if Canelo shows up with output and throws more punches than what he did in the previous fights, he can win. But if Crawford shows up and Canelo just throws one or two punches, then I don't see Canelo winning. And that's what happened. He got frustrated. He couldn't throw punches. He said he couldn't figure out Crawford. And one thing I will point out about Crawford is that he was really hard to hit. And one of the things that I've noticed that, in his previous fights, he was easy to get hit. Like, he got hit with Madrigal and hit with a few other fighters. But I felt like when it comes to like the elite level, even with Errol Spence, you got to see his defense. He like cleaned up his defense for this one, and Canelo couldn't land any clean shots. So yeah, I thought really Terence Crawford is really impressive. I think the guy he can box, he can punch, he can switch it up. I mean, man, imagine we would have seen him against Mayweather, or maybe like a Boots Ennis would be cool right now at this point. But I don't think he has any interest in moving back to 154. He's going to stay at 160, and I think there's going to be a lot of good fights for him as well. So yeah, it was a great night for boxing. I think it was a big win. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on the fight? Were you shocked? Were you surprised? Did your pick win? Did you make any money? There was a lot of betting going on last night. But anyways, thanks again for checking out the the video. Let me know in the comment what your thoughts are. And yeah, let's keep boxing alive, y'all. All right. Peace. Jab Talk. Subscribe.